national conference because under normal circumstances, this national conference should have been called by government. But in the preamble of our constitution, under the national objectives and directives of state policy, objective number 8, which is governance, government and civil society actors are equal partners in the promotion of constitutional order. And since we have waited for 18 years to have an event of this nature, we felt that it was incumbent upon us to organize a conference where we would have an appraisal of where we are coming from, where we are, and where we are going. And therefore that has been the basis of convening this conference. The chief guests, delegates, the objectives of this conference are mainly four. We are aiming at generating national consensus on electoral reforms. Number two, we would like to critically review Uganda's human rights record. Objective number three, to apprise the doctrine of separation of powers. And number four, to discuss Uganda's multi-party politics. In all this, it will be important for us to underline that the conference is about constitutionalism in as much as it's about the Constitution. Because many people agree with me that the 1995 Constitution is a good document, having been written meticulously after the Udoki Commission and the calling of the Constituent Assembly. The President of Uganda said this was the most beautiful gift that he would give the people of Uganda. So it's important for us to review and see that given the beautiful text that was enacted in 1995, how far has the country gone in the actual implementation of this document? This conference will also look at the contemporary challenges in defending the principle of separation of powers and institutionalized governance, the dynamics of the struggles within the organs of the state, how the executive works with the judiciary, how parliament works with the executive, how the judiciary works with parliament, and how the state relates with civil society in pursuit of democratic governance. We will also look at how, in pursuit of our ideal of building a modern nation, we can create a constitution that prioritizes and considers and puts in place rights for minorities and voices for minorities. Because civility demands that we listen to those who may not necessarily be in the majority. In conclusion, the conference the organizers realized that constitutionalism is an instrument of liberation and modernization because, number one, it guarantees peace and stability, without which as a nation we cannot move forward. Secondly, without an orderly transfer of power, without an orderly allocation of resources within a legal framework that is agreed upon by all as a nation, it's difficult for us to have domestic and foreign investment for economic development.
Okay.
The purpose of this workshop, which is to take stock of our constitutional journey as a nation, we reflect on constitutional achievements and challenges and contribute in the generation of consensus on the way forward for Uganda in building constitutionalism and constitutional governance, particularly ahead of the 2016 elections. The Constitution of the Republic of Uganda was promulgated on the 8th day of October 1995 by the Constituent Assembly, replacing the 1967 Constitution. So far, 3 national elections, moreover consecutive ones, have been held under this Constitution. This is so far a landmark achievement of this Constitution compared, to my knowledge, other previous constitutions. Regarding the theme, let us define our terms. A constitution is defined in Black's Law Dictionary, 9th edition, page 353, as the fundamental and organic law of a nation or state that establishes the institutions and apparatus of government, defines the scope of governmental sovereign powers, and guarantees individual civil rights and liberties. It is the written instrument embodying this fundamental law together with any form of amendment. And constitutionalism, on the other hand, is defined, among others, by the Oxford Advanced Learners Dictionary, the National Students Edition, New 8th edition, page 311, to mean a belief in constitutional government. A belief in constitutional government. Indeed, it goes without saying that a belief in constitutional government is a prerequisite for social and economic transformation. This is the normative culture we must continue to build. The promulgation of the 1995 Constitution is a value addition in the growth and transformation of our country. Tribute is paid to the leadership of the country and everyone living and dead for whatever positive mark they made in Uganda's constitutional history that has resulted in this growth and transformation. Uganda is endowed with a well-written constitution whose provisions other nations have found worthy to borrow from. Of importance, of course, we all know, is its chapter 4 on the protection and promotion of fundamental and other human rights and freedoms. Suffice to urge the general intention on the enjoyment of these fundamental and other human rights and freedoms in Article 43, in that when enjoying these rights and freedoms, no person shall prejudice the fundamental or other human rights and freedoms of others in the public interest. I have also noted that in discussing the independence of the institutions that have been created under our Constitution, the judiciary, the IGG, the DPP, and so on and so forth. I want to caution that in discussing independence of institutions, bear in mind that independence is not a shield against accountability. Independence is independence when an official in an institution is independent or quasi-independent, exercising his or her right to arrive at a decision, but is not a shield against accountability. I note the specific objectives of this workshop, which are putting electoral reforms on the national agenda and generate national consensus ahead of 2016 general elections, critically reviewing Uganda's human rights record and make provisions for improvement, appraising the functioning of the different arms of governments in view of their independence, providing a national platform for discussing Uganda's multi-party politics and the way forward. These objectives will be deliberated on through the 4 thematic areas of this workshop. And these include human rights, electoral reforms, the implementation of the separation of powers, and the multi-party system in Uganda. Government and other stakeholders have been discussing constitutional and electoral reforms, and we hope that the recommendations from this workshop will help further inform this process. I want to assure you that Cabinet will soon discuss proposals on constitutional and electoral reforms, and your early contribution is certainly awaited. I want to thank you for organizing this conference to arrive at the needed recommendations that we may consider. And to the organizers and participants of this workshop, you have a partner in us in this process. And lest I forget, they say that even when the sky is heavily overcast with clouds, the sun will not have disappeared. It will be on the other side of the clouds. There is always hope. We should always be positive in whatever we do. And to me, as I said in the other meeting I launched a few days ago, a wise person is that person who learns from the mistakes of others. This saying of you learn from your experiences, it is only a fool who learns from his experiences. A wise person learns from the experiences of others without making the unnecessary mistakes. We have a lot to learn, not only amongst ourselves, but outside our own jurisdiction, so that we do the right thing. At this juncture, Mr. Chairman, I wish to officially declare this workshop open, and I wish you all fruitful.
I begin with a number of premises. Constitutionalism presupposes at least 3 things. The first one is that there must be a belief in it by the main political leaders and political parties. If the main political actors do not believe in constitutionalism, you may have a constitution, you may have a document, but there will be no constitutionalism. Secondly, there must be at least the recognition of its importance by major actors in the citizenry itself, in the population. If a constitution is only of relevance to a few people in the capital, in political parties, or in academia, then you cannot have constitutionalism when there is no consciousness, minimum consciousness, by major actors among the population. Thirdly, there must be a presence of organized political forces that are not only interested in constitutionalism, but are ready to defend it. Once you don't have those three elements, you cannot have constitutionalism. That is, belief in it by the main political actors, recognition of its importance by the citizens, of its major actors, and the presence of organized political forces that are prepared to defend it. If the above are not present, constitutionalism becomes only an academic or religious ritual. The way that many people say prayers, Our Father who art in heaven, or Hail Mary, full of grace, as a ritual, not as a belief. You may say Our Father every day, but it may be of no meaning. That is a ritual. A constitution may also become a ritual if the above elements are not present among the political leaders, among the citizens, and if there are no organized political forces prepared to defend it. The major question posed in this conference, and which should be answered, is as follows. Is the Constitution the ultimate source of power and authority in Uganda today? Is this document, our 1995 Constitution as amended, actually the source of political power and authority? I believe that it is only formally so, but it is not the source of political authority in this country, and I'll explain why. The organizers have requested me to talk about the following issues. The details will be discussed, of course, later on in the conference, but I make a number of remarks on four of them. That is, the electoral reforms necessary to advance constitutionalism and democracy, human rights and their significance in a democratic state, the different arms of government and the doctrine of separation of powers, and multi-party politics and its future in Uganda. Before answering these questions,